Goblins and Trolls. I'm Hello Gargoyle, and today we are going to be covering the Leeds Devil, better known as the New Jersey Devil. So grab a cup of mushroom juice and get comfy. Here we go. The Pine Barrens, a dense forest stretches across more than 7 counties in New Jersey, was silent that night. There was a chill in the air, and the pale moonlight lit the tops of the pine trees. Deep in the heart of the forest laid a single house, banished from society. Calling it a house would be an overstatement, as the structure was little more than a hut. 12 children were crammed inside, as well as their parents and a midwife. The mother, Mother Leeds, was a cruel, tired old woman who had grown resentful of her own children. At times, she even resorted to abuse. The father, a man who was rarely home, could hardly afford all of his children. Beside flickering candlelight, the midwife wiped sweat away from Mother Leeds' brow. Her 13th child was on its way, and this labor had her at her wit's end. In pain and desperation, and in anger, she cursed the child. "Let the devil have this one," she said. The child came into this world as plump and as healthy as any child could be. That is, until horns began to sprout from his head and his legs began to transform into that of a goat's. Wings sprouted from his spine and his face elongated into that of a horse's. Within seconds, the once precious baby was a monster, towering over Mother Leeds and the midwife. The monster escaped through the chimney of that old house, and it disappeared into the thick timberland of the Pine Barrens. Decades later, a man by the name of Joseph Bonaparte saw the New Jersey Devil firsthand. Also, if I'm saying Bonaparte completely wrong, I'm sorry. Joseph was the brother to a French military and political leader, Napoleon Bonaparte. Joseph had fled from Spain after he was named king, and soon was forced to abdicate his throne. He fled from Europe to the U.S. He eventually found himself in New Jersey, where he constructed a large mansion fit for a king. Joseph was hunting alone in a dense forest near his house. Soon, he took note of odd-looking tracks that were sunk deep in the mud. A horse? No. Sheep? No. What was it? Surely it wasn't a deer. And what was even more startling than the particular shape of the tracks was how they were placed. It looked as though the animal stood upright, walking on 2 feet. Eyes on the ground, Joseph followed the mysterious tracks until they ended, suddenly and without warning. He looked up, wondering if it could be hiding in the trees somewhere. Something screamed inches behind him. He turned around to see a haunting figure, the devil himself. A horse face, legs of a goat, wings of a bat, and wide orange eyes. It stood only for a moment before launching itself high into the heavens with only a couple flaps of its wings. In 1909, there were a ton of sightings that all happened within one cold week in January. In total, there were 30 sightings within 7 days. A local paper reported on it, and panic ensued. According to sources, the New Jersey Devil ate up a bunch of pets and livestock. Some wonder if the newspaper made up the entire story after getting one report about weird paw prints on roofs in South New Jersey. After the news story was released, more people came in with horrific descriptions of the beast. Some claimed it breathed fire even. Some tried to track the prints using dogs, but the dogs themselves were too frightened to follow. Since 1909, there have been a handful of sightings in New Jersey. In 1927, a taxi driver claimed to see the New Jersey perched on his cab while he was changing a tire. In 1960, several residents heard screams echoing from the dark forest. In 1972, a woman saw a tall, horse-headed figure standing behind her car while she was driving home late one evening. In the 1980s, a group of friends heard deafening screams while they were out on their dirt bikes. In more recent times, the only 2 notable sightings were made famous by the internet. They garner more laughs than screams, to be honest. In 2015, a man named David Black claimed to have seen the New Jersey Devil flying overhead. He managed to capture a picture of it. He states that he did not edit the picture or make it up in any way, but there are many skeptics who take one look at the picture and see fakeness. Later that night, the second sighting happened by a woman named Emily Martin. Instead of a photo, she was able to take a video of the creature flying. If possible, this video appears even more fake than Black's photo. According to Martin, though, she also did not edit the video in any way. There are many different theories behind the New Jersey Devil. One theory that supports the notion that the New Jersey Devil is real lies within old documents that tell of a woman named Deborah Smith. She was born in New Jersey, and she married a man with a particular name that I am going to butcher. It is spelled, for all of you that want to know, Japheth. So I'm going to say Japheth. So she married a man named Japheth Leeds. With Japheth, she had 12 children. Is being a mother with the last name of Leeds in New Jersey enough evidence to associate her with Mother Leeds from the myth? If so, perhaps she did have a 13th child. Although there are no records of a 13th child, one can't help but wonder if she did have another child and merely didn't report it. If that was the case, it doesn't necessarily mean that she gave birth to a monster. Back in the day, many people that we now consider people with disabilities or deformities were considered cursed. Was the baby simply disabled, and some cruel person called it a monster? Surely a rumor could have spread about a demon born by a poor woman in the middle of the forest. Or perhaps it was really a devil. Of course, there are other theories. A man named Daniel Leeds is the focus of our next theory. He was a British loyalist in New Jersey in the late 16 to early 1700s. He was the counselor to a very unpopular governor in New Jersey, and that harmed his reputation. He published several books discussing religion that went completely against the grain. He began to get more and more unpopular as time went on. Eventually, he was portrayed as a monster or a devil. As we all know, the New Jersey Devil is also called the Leeds Devil. Was Daniel the real demon, just a politician and an author who went against the grain? These are a couple theories, but they don't necessarily explain the numerous witnesses. Sure, the New Jersey Devil might just be a poor baby with deformities, or it could be an unpopular politician. But what were people seeing if not the devil himself? There are several ideas, some more realistic than others. Explanation number 1 comes from 1909, right after that famous news report. Citizens of New Jersey demanded answers, so scientists were tasked with coming up with an answer. Based off of the description of the monster, the scientists ended up suggesting it was perhaps a prehistoric creature from the Jurassic period. However, this raised more questions than it answered, and it soon lost all of its credibility. Explanation number 2 and 3 both deal with birds. Some speculate that the New Jersey Devil sightings were really just people seeing sandhill cranes. These are large birds with 6-foot wingspans. That I'm sure would be startling to see flying overhead. Another idea is the great horned owl. They are nocturnal, meaning they only come out to hunt at night. If you remember, many of the witnesses told of monsters appearing only in the night. Great horned owls have large orange eyes and horns made up of tufts of feathers. Sounds familiar to the New Jersey Devil, right? On top of that, they have a wingspan of about 5 feet and have been known to even charge at people. However, the beast was described as having a horse-like face and goat feet, and that really doesn't sound like any owl I've ever seen. Other theories about the screams at night are that they do not come from the devil, the New Jersey Devil to be specific, but they come from fox or sheep, as both can scream in human-like ways. So, what do you think? Are people just trying to get attention and seeing nothing at all? Did the witnesses simply mistake a bird for the devil? Please comment below with any ideas you have. Obviously, I cannot cover everything on this video, So if you have any ideas, any theories out there, I would love to know them. And although I cover some spooky stuff, this is a happy channel, so please keep the comments not mean. Subscribe if you would, because it does help out a ton. Thank you so much for watching, and see you later, my friends.